So, well, thank you guys so much. Yeah, I've been kind of following you guys for a while.
Oh, awesome.
Um, especially because I'm a fan of the sort of like the synth wave type genre, and everybody else that kind of roots out of that. Depending on how you want to sort of subgenreize synth
Yeah,
wave and
exactly. And
retro.
I'm very interested to talk about that stuff too because like the whole we're dealing we just released our first like actual album
Yeah.
because we basically we formed as like a performance band
Hmm.
and we played like we were always kind of figuring out what we wanted to sound like, but we like dove in as a band before we had like a defined sound,
Sure.
and we feel like we got there, and now that we're there we're like, oh man, nobody knows what we are.
Right.
Like that we're too rock for the synthwave people and we're too synth for the rock people, and it's
Yep.
been this sort of interesting um back and forth that we've been doing as a band, but we'll save it for the podcast.
No, you're good. No, we can pretty much jump right in. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. I got Reese and Madison from I swear I knew I was going to mess this up.
It's
Eclectotron.
Yeah, you
I
got it.
even
It's
wrote it all
hard.
down. Eclectotron. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Justin. We're excited to be on
Thank
the
you.
show.
Yeah, yeah. And is there any shows or anything you want to promote, or we just want to jump right into all the
The thing that
questions?
we want to promote right now is we still have our brand new album out. We just released a single yesterday, actually, with Robbie Whiplash
Mm-hmm.
of Megatronics and Robbie Whiplash's solo project. And we did it. It's a cover of a Sailor Moon song. She's got the
Mm-hmm.
power,
Yep.
and that one was really fun. So that's what we have on blast right now. Also, please check out our brand new album, Galactic Trash. Came out in April of this year. So we are excited to share that stuff with you guys.
Cool. Yeah, and everything sounds amazing. Love the album. Let's kind of jump into the process of the album, and we'll kind of work our way around. I may have some ADD, ADHD moments where I'll start kind of asking certain questions and stuff. But let's go ahead and jump into just like the concept behind the album, and then even the songwriting process, the recording, and as well as the sort of music video ideas that kind of came with it. And Madison, feel free to jump in and add what you
Check
need to.
Madison's
And
mic real quick too, just to make sure that's
Check,
coming
check.
through.
yep, she sounds great.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're all good. So yeah, let's gonna jump into the the making of the album, the story behind it. Yeah, go for it. So
So as I was saying, like we kind of jumped in as like a band, like a performance-based band, before we had like a super well-rounded idea of
mhm.
exactly what we wanted to sound like. We knew that we wanted to do some combination of like a rock band and a synthwave energy. Um, and we've been performing since 2022,
Yep.
all over Southern California. We're trying to get out of Southern California, but for now, that's what we got.
Yeah.
And the album was basically we'd filled out our roster. We'd have like a lineup that we're really happy with, like in terms of musicianship and like collaborating on things. We'd all written a few songs together,
Okay.
and we were like, let's do a coordinated effort to make something that we are really proud of. And we kind of ride that line between like synth rock. We have a few like sort of neo funk
Sure. Yeah. Hmm.
slap bass style
Yeah.
songs,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then we've also got like a handful of like straight up metal songs and a couple of sort of more electronic dance beats,
Hmm.
and we just mash them all together into something that we wanted to have represent our tongue-in-cheek nature, but also that we are taking it very seriously. So the production of the whole album was really important, and we found a sound that we really like. And you have Galactic Trash from that. We channel stuff from like Proto Man energy is a big part of our influence. Twerp is a big part of one of our big influences. We love This is a little bit of a deeper cut for those in the synth genre, but we love the Night Flight Orchestra,
Hmm.
which is like a sort of retro rock um, with a lot of like analog synth
Yep.
in it. And yeah, that's what we came up with. All five band members were a big part of creating this album, not just in recording the parts, but like in writing everything, and then also influencing our arrangements once we all got into the studio. If somebody had an idea that was like, hey, well, this is cool, but like, what if we had like a synth riser here? This feels a little empty in this section. Or, hey, let's add some goofy sort of digital percussion over the top of this track. Even
Yeah.
though we tracked everything with an acoustic drum set,
Oh
we
wow.
did add a bunch of sort of electronic drums,
Just
sweeten
kind of
this.
fill it in and kind of
Yeah,
take
and
everything. Yeah, that
and
sounds
to make
great.
sure that it still felt like the genre that we wanted. And then you have Galactic Trash.
That was amazing, and it's a fantastic album. And was it were did you guys kind of have like an outline, or did it just kind of come together organically with a little bit of everybody kind of bringing the story together? Does that make sense?
Yeah, we had three songs from our previous EPs that we felt were like really good representations of
Okay.
what we were, and so we kind of used those to sculpt the album. So that was like we have like our three favorite tracks from the earlier iterations of the band made it into this album because we wanted to make sure they had like a nice shiny produced version
Sure.
that
Yeah.
wasn't just like hammered out in Logic, you know,
Right.
but one that we actually got to sit and track together as a group. And The rest was we did feel like we wanted to have a little bit more of like a heavy synth edge. So we
Hmm.
added some stuff like Fearless, the opening track, and
Hmm.
YS1, which is like a pretty predominantly like electronic sounding track toward the middle because we felt like that was what we were kind of missing. We had nailed the sort of synth um, rock edge, and
Sure.
we wanted to round it out with a little bit more digital stuff.
Wow. And I know you guys kind of accompanied it with some music video ideas. Did you guys kind of were you kind of meeting with certain directors, and even with the YS1, you have like a choreography dance. Like, tell me about that process.
The we the two big music videos that we're super excited to show the world right now are Danger Inbound, which is we created with our first EP, and that's very much like a hammy sci-fi like ode to cheesy sci-fi schlock. And then we have YS1, which is a more it's a more electronic track. It's written from the perspective of a Mars rover dying as his battery loses power on the red planet.
Hmm.
Um, so we actually had two completely different production teams for that. Kyle Cooper and Jackalope Studio helped us produce Danger Inbound, and they're much more on the sort of horror end of the spectrum. So they were a perfect fit to help us create the sets and the cinematography style and the editing style and the overall sort of camp of Danger Inbound.
Yeah.
And then YS1, which is it's still tongue in cheek, but we wanted it to look very polished. We wanted it to look very um, like emotional.
It does, yeah.
So
It
we
gives
reached
that
out,
vibe. Yeah, the clips I've seen, yeah, for sure.
yeah, and like providing emotion to a robot, which
Hmm.
is a fun sort of dichotomy. We had our friend Candace Jade Lewis, who's a seasoned filmmaker, assistant to a lot of directors in the movie world and the television world, and she had a little bit more of a nuanced edge, and she was able to bring in a really wonderful cinematographer, Brooke Willard, who's worked on all kinds of stuff. Some of his most recent work was most recent season of Fallout,
Hmm.
and our friend Chelsea Pickens, who designed the robot, and she has a back before excuse me, back before Jim Henson sort of
Hmm.
fell apart. Did a lot of work with Jim Henson. She has a lot of work with puppetry, aesthetic robotics, creating like bigger, sort of complicated mechanical puppets. And she was able to do this for like a shoestring budget. She's like, if you look really closely at the robot, you're like, his head's just a piece of Tupperware, isn't it?
As
but
long as
it's
it
on
works, yeah.
but it's on a very like complicated gimbal, so like we were able to sort of give him these really subtle movements on the head,
Yeah.
as well as the little robotic arm that he has, and then the treads as well. So you had three puppeteers operating that robot on set, which was really fun. One for the head, one for the tracks to see where it was going, and one to operate the arm when it was in
Yeah.
the show.
Dang, that's so cool. That's exciting. Tell me about the sort of the evolution, because I mean, you put out some singles, you had a couple EPs, and then you got the full length. Tell me about the what kind of tips and everything that you kind of learned along the way with creating a Eclectotron. Like, tell me that sort of process, like from the beginning into finally making the full length album. Was there any challenges or anything that you kind of met with that you feel like you kind of learned along the way while you're dominated this full length album. Which again, I encourage everybody to check it out. It's amazing. Check it out on Bandcamp, and if you love it, get the physical copies. They got a vinyl and they got a cassette, which is really cool. But yeah, tell me about the sort of evolution in the process of the band.
Um, well, like I said, we started as like a performance-based band. We
Mm-hmm.
threw the band together so that we had an opportunity to perform at like at that time a brand new festival that no one had ever heard of, um, called Neotropolis from the
Neotropolis.
creators
Yep.
of Wasteland Weekend. And so we had an opportunity to get in there on the ground floor. They were looking for musical acts. They weren't established as a festival yet, so they were open to new ideas. And I literally just wrote 5 songs, one of which I had was based on some ideas that our guitarist Francis Roberts had
Mm-hmm.
come up with. But like I threw together an album really quick.
Okay, gotcha.
It was literally something that Madison and I wrote over the course of like a month,
Mm-hmm.
in our old bedroom, and we didn't exactly know what we wanted to sound like. We knew that we wanted to have some we wanted to be synthwave influence and some of those other influences I mentioned. We wanted to have like the rock edge, like the live drums edge is like a big thing for me. Like
Sure.
I find myself really drawn to synth acts that have live drums.
Okay, so you kind of brought
Nothing
the
against
sense.
drum.
Did everybody kind of bring their own little like some here's some metal, here's some rock? Was everybody kind of, and even you'll have like talk box, was there like Chromeo or just even the old Zap type stuff where they're well established acts with the talk box where you all kind of like, all right, let's kind of bring a little bit of everything in with
Absolutely, and
okay,
we were influenced by acts like Starcadian very
yeah,
heavily as well. And his is more of a vocoder act, and like
okay,
so learning the differences and like when vocoder is works for us, when talkbox works for us. We like talkbox a little bit to be
mhm,
featured more heavily. There is plenty of vocoder in our
of course.
tracks, but talkbox is what's featured because I
Mhm.
feel like you can get a little bit more. You can taste the words a
There's a
little
little
bit
bit
more.
more emotion to it. You can
Yeah,
feel it. That's what
and
I've always
you
thought
can
too.
hear it live as
Mhm.
opposed to being like processed. And there's nothing
Yeah.
we love our vocoders, but like there's something a little bit more. We feel like there's a little bit more character to
Mhm.
Talkbox, so
Sure.
that was a natural thing for us. Um, and yeah, you mentioned bands like Chromeo.
Mhm.
Those absolutely played a part in learning to do what we learning to sound like the way that we wanted to sound like. And it honestly just took like 2 or 3 years of performing together, playing a bunch of covers of styles that we loved, and seeing what fit, what felt right live, what we wanted to keep listening to, and also how audiences reacted to it.
Mhm.
So those were our big sort of things that shaped our sound. And when we all got into the studio together, we were able to try a bunch of things. Like we did it the hard way, not because it sounds better objectively, but because the hard way is more unique. Like
Sure.
for the record, we're amping or we're miking amplifiers, like old tube amplifiers for all of our guitars, and our bass as well. And we're trying different guitars to see what sounds right for which song. We're trying different basses to see what sounds right for that. Because even like the difference between bass tone between like like a Schecter with EMGs versus like a jazz bass or even a P bass, and then the way that you mute it or don't mute it totally
Mhm.
changes the whole vibe of the song. So we were able to really become total dweebs and
Good.
dig into that production
Yeah.
style when we were all in the studio together. And yeah, it honestly just came together from or as organically as we were able to make it over the course of 3 or 4 years of performing and over a year of tracking. There was some retracking. There was some stuff that we did where we were like, okay, this is cool.
Sure.
Let's do it better.
And was it all like, was it just at home? Like you kind of got your own sort of at home studio. You do like sound design and production and stuff. Was it all done at home? Did you have to go through different studios? Like, tell me, get into the geeky stuff. Like, tell me about, what digital audio workshops you worked with. Like, just get in there and just tell me everything about that.
We did court a couple studios to see if it was feasible to track this all like in like a single sort of few week sitting in a studio. But at the end of the day, like everybody's going through some degree of financial squeeze right now, and we weren't able to find a studio that we were going to be able to track at for less than like $700 or $800 a day, and we just don't have that kind of money.
Understandable.
So what we did instead is, as you mentioned, I work in sound design for film and television. I have this home studio. We recorded a lot of it in here. Most of the vocals were recorded in here, but our guitarist Francis Roberts lives in a crazy old house in San Diego. It's like an house. It's like the house was built in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and so it's got these big vaulted ceilings and like wooden floors and wooden walls. So what we did is we emptied out one of those rooms and just built the drum set in there and just had a field day with it. We tried a bunch of different mic placements. We tried, there are entirely too many tracks on that drum.
Yeah.
Like all the drums that we started with were like probably like 18 to 24 tracks depending on the song.
Yeah.
And picking and choosing which mics. We were not using all of them all the time, but picking and choosing what mics sounded better for which song was a big part of that. Of like laying the groundwork for the type of sound each song would have.
Of course.
We're called Eclectotron because there's an eclectic nature to what we do, and we like that our songs sound different, that there's a little bit of genre bending going on in every song. And so the drums we recorded at that big house in San Diego, as well as some of the guitars, because we had these big rooms that we were able to sort of play with placement. And when it came to synthesizers, we use a lot of like hybrid analog digital synths, and then a lot of straight up analog synths. There's a ton of Moog Mini on there. Wow. A ton of Moog Mini, a lot of Korg Minilog. We had the Matrix Brute that ironically our guitarist is a super seasoned synth player, even though I perform most of the synths in the band, and he was able to help us sound design some stuff from scratch, and doing it from scratch rather than using something like, you know, Razor Synth by Aerosmith, or like some of the more popular digital synths, or even the built-in synthesizers to like Ableton. They're all fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But we wanted to create something that sounded that you couldn't put your finger on, because it wasn't something that you could just, you know, scroll through a preset on it and hit. Not that there's anything against that. We just wanted it to sound our own. Sure.
Wow.
And then of course Madison laid down totally different vocal styles.
Really?
Lots of different songs. I mean, like sometimes she's sitting in the background doing like beautiful backup vocals, and sometimes she's a rock goddess up front, like hitting the mic really hard. Do you want to talk about any of the
vocals? Please. I was going to say, I don't want you to feel left out. So
yeah, I was getting really bored with all the
I'm so sorry. I know I get into like a lot of geeky stuff. So I'm sorry.
I know it's interesting to a lot of people. Yeah, no, I mean, in the same way that we had an eclectic approach to everything else, the vocals were part of that as well. I love really testing my vocal chameleon abilities. I think Vocal Foundation is definitely more metal leaning, power metal leaning, very, you know, theatrical, big, not trying to sound cute or dainty or anything like that. But I'm also a total nerd for harmonies. And I love making a song and then going back and then adding, you know, 3-4 part harmonies, stuff like that, just to make it more interesting. And yeah.
I mean, you've got songs like Face Ripper, which is absolutely just a power metal song. And then you've also got stuff like Babe.Wave. Do you want to talk about like that, how you wrote that very J-pop style, a very anime style song?
Very catchy song. I think that might have been one of my favorite ones on the album.
Nice.
So.
Me and Francis, our lead guitarist, wanted to make a more kind of like anime intro type song, which means you can be as absolutely nutso as you want. In terms of the lyrics, I did a horrible job of writing Japanese lyrics, and then we have a very close friend who's from Japan, and she went through and was able kind of to smooth over the lyrics in a way that made sense and were less direct translations and would make more sense to people who actually speak Japanese. And yeah, it's a really wild and crazy song.
That's such a good song. Let's go ahead and give people backstory, Madison, while you're still at the mic. Tell me about growing up. Who were some of your influences, and were you like, you know, did you take vocal classes? Was this just something you naturally were drawn to? Kind of give me a bit of a background on kind of how you started and what kind of made you want to become a singer, and what bands were you kind of listening to when you're growing up?
Yeah, I have a super talented, super musical, super performance focused family, so it's just kind of in my DNA.
Cool.
I never really made the choice to start singing, I just kind of did. I did a lot of musical theater when I was growing up, so not only like the ability to belt, but the ability to just be in front of a lot of people and not question what I'm doing or not be afraid to be big and take up space, which I think is what really sets our vocals apart from a lot of other
Mhm.
bands. You know, I think there's this idea where you kind of have to be cool and keep your cards close in terms of how much you're expressing yourself, and I just don't.
That's good.
It's just
Because I
not my
think it's great. I mean, it really adds to it because it's very theatrical. Like, you want to be like, hey, there's a lot of people
yeah.
who are vocal shy, but they still want to sing, or, writing lyrics, but they kind of put on this, like, they want to hide behind something, and you're
Yeah,
going,
and
no,
like
I want to be
yeah,
out here. Yeah.
and love and light to that
Hmm.
approach. That's all good, but no, we all five of us are very big people. How we talk, how we walk, how we perform, just everything.
Good.
And so yeah, it's been really cool being able to create something with people who encourage me to always go bigger. And yeah, in terms of influences, growing up, I don't really know, but like as an adult, Nura Luhimo of Battle Beast, Brittany Slays of Unleash the Archers, just these insane big voices, and again, women who are not afraid to dominate sonically,
Sure.
and not trying to be cute little birds or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which again, beautiful, beautiful, but yeah, I'm definitely more on the bigger, more theatrical end of the spectrum. So
Was there any sort of like non music influences? Was it anime? Was it TV show? Like, kind of tell me where you were just like drawn to comic books, mangas. Was it? Tell me about kind of growing up and what kind of helped shape you to who you are now.
just this kind of vision of
Okay.
myself.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm honestly like I have nerdy interests. I would
Okay.
not really consider myself a nerd.
Sure.
But
You do like Vocaloids an awful lot,
yeah, but like I mean it's not my identity or my
of course.
personality or anything, but like I don't know. I'm incredibly fortunate. I coming from a family that was obsessed with me and was just like, "Yes, give us more, give us more." So it was just like I am me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. I don't know.
I don't know. I think our music has been influenced by absolutely anime intros.
Uh-huh.
I've been a huge fan of
I
like
can hear it. Yeah, for
the,
sure.
the mecha anime genre is like huge for me. I absolutely adore the like especially mecha anime before they started using the 3D models, which are
Oh,
like great for consistency, but I love going in to some of those old classic shots like Bubblegum Crisis where you've got
mhm.
like a suit up shot and then like you've got the boomers as the mechanoid stuff like comes out of the face and tears away the flesh. Like that sort of stuff absolutely influences our lyrical content and to a certain extent our music too.
Oh yeah, definitely. For sure.
We've done more than a handful of anime intro covers, and they're awesome. They're always so fun because they're always like go, and
Mhm.
it's sometimes those things are like not necessarily arranged to perform live. So like getting in there and like doing it is like, oh my god, okay, we all got to really focus really
Yeah,
hard to
you
make
really.
sure everything. And like the tempos are kind of all over the place
Yeah.
sometimes, and it's not necessarily like a tempo thing, but a meter change. I
Hmm.
love the crazy meter changes in anime music in general.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a big influence and something that we're looking to explore even more. Like Babe.Wave was an excellent example.
Hmm.
But like we'll definitely be doing some more of the dramatic the dramatic composition approach in addition to dramatic vocals.
That's awesome. And Madison, sorry, I don't want to. What were you involved in any sort of like other bands before this project, or was it more just theater and were you doing other garage bands or anything like that, like to kind of get you used to being part of a band, or was it mostly just theatrical, musical theater and stuff like that?
Yeah, theater was a big one. I used to my first job out of college. Um, I worked in construction, and we at Christmas time would always participate in parades, and we would have this big flatbed truck, and my bosses were all metal musicians, and so we'd come up with these like super intense like orchestrations
Yeah.
of Christmas medleys and things like that, and I would perform for that. But no, this is my first
Okay,
full blown like we are a band, we book shows, we go out and we play concerts and things like that. And I mean, it's cool, and it's a collection of like, well, my husband and like three of my closest friends. So it's been a nice first go at entering that whole world, being with ultra familiar with people, I guess.
Do you feel more comfortable with with Reese kind of at the wheel of everything, since this is kind of your first band? You're going, okay, as long as I can share the stage and the studio with people I'm familiar with, you kind of feel like, okay, I feel a little bit more at home this way. And even on
Yeah, it helps. I mean, like, I'm not a shy person. Like,
okay,
if I had a group with another set of people that I wasn't as familiar with, I mean, like, I'd be fine.
cool.
But it's really nice being married to the person that kind of perpetuates this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And Reese, go ahead and give yourself like a bit of a background, like tell me kind of where it all started, and yeah, I mean, were you involved in other bands? What was like the first instrument you picked up, and just kind of give me a bit of that background.
I started playing guitar and bass in high school,
Hmm.
like so many of us, and my first few bands were sort of either grunge or metal leaning,
Okay.
because we were all big
Everybody, yep.
back in the early 2000s and late 90s. And well, I started with that. I actually I've always played traditional Irish music. Like,
Hmm.
it's been a big part of my life, my
That's
whole life.
cool.
And I am a flautist and an accordionist.
Hmm.
And accordion was the first instrument that I really sort of took super seriously, which
Wow.
is so funny because like the first time I picked up a guitar, I was like, oh, I already know this.
I already know this then.
It feels exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just it's instead of this, it's this.
It's going the other way.
Literally-
Yeah, exactly.
Literally just elbow position. It's the only change. And I performed in a number of bands. I played with a band called Merzik for many years. They're like sort of a it rides the line between like symphonic rock and like spooky core back in the 2000s. I don't know if you guys remember spooky core.
Hmm.
But I still perform with this band, the Dread Crew of Oddwood. It's a pirate themed
Pirate themed, yeah. I've looked that up.
acoustic
Yeah.
metal act. We're still active.
Cool.
And we've been on and off for like 15 years.
That's
That
cool.
band we still tour, we still play shows. But I came in off of that because I was like, well, I wanted to start an electric project, and I feel like the most success I've had in my life
Hmm.
creatively has been with bands. And not even just music, but bands. Like, I love the collaborative aspect of being with a group of people and the give and take that comes with writing and pushing different ideas and developing styles. Like, I feel like, at least in my case, I feel like my voice is always better when I've tempered it with other voices. And this was an awesome opportunity to do that. Francis Roberts, our lead guitarist, we started Dread Crew of Oddwood together a long time ago.
Mhm.
We've had a handful of projects over the years that we've done together too. And our bass player, Oliver Brink, he's got a background in punk bass and punk guitar. And our drummer, Paula Schaff, he and I played in an 80s cover band, and actually Madison too, for years. So that was like, oh, some of this stuff is just directly translatable.
Sure.
But we wanted to do something different, and it's been a super fun collaborative situation.
Was there an outline for the project? Did it come together like, were you going, okay, I want this project, it's going to have, science fiction elements, going to have anime elements, it's going to, the sound is, but was there like a story outline, or just even was there building of characters? You know what I mean? Because you guys are very there's these costumes and it's very elaborate. I want everybody to kind of look them up and just kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. But there's like a story. Like, tell me about the story,
We definitely all have our own characters, and when we started the band, we had hoped we'd be able to create more of the video side of things, because original idea of the band was it'll be not necessarily a web series, but like in the same way, like, you know, Aquabats have these sort of like little sub stories that
Oh
are going
yeah.
on within every
Hmm.
song and every album. We love the idea of that, and our first music video very much feels that way. And we were like, oh gosh, does everybody die at the end of every music video except for Madison? Um, but we didn't. We're keeping the sort of story side and character side on the open end. We
Okay.
all know who our characters are when we're performing, and we let that influence our performance. But we're not gonna like hammer anybody with lore yet.
Right.
Um, we have some talk of doing like a web series or a short video series,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
that could just be through music videos,
Hmm.
and it could also be through something more narrative. We're still figuring that out right
Cool.
now, but we let the. I always feel like when you're watching a film, especially like a classic sci-fi film, um, what you aren't explicitly told holds that much more power over you as a viewer
Yeah.
and as a consumer of that story, because you're going to fill in these gaps with your own imagination, and your own imagination is going to be more powerful than most of the CG or most of the backstory,
Hmm.
or any sort of bit of lore that's going to be directly told to you.
Yep.
Your imagination is going to do a better job of filling in those gaps, and I want our music to allow our listeners to fill in the gaps as well. So you'll see some more theatrical stuff from us soon, but in the meantime, we're going to let it speak for itself.
Hang in there. Yeah. Everybody's kind of got, that's kind of like in theater, they go, whatever your character is, develop a backstory. You don't have to tell anybody what the backstory is, but keep it to yourself just as part of the character. And then eventually, things develop from there. So I completely understand that one. So, was it, because I know you guys really was like coincided with the Neotropolis. Was there this sort of moment where you kind of knew the people who put that festival together, and you kind of had it and went, all right, let's kind of combine it, or kind of tell me about it, because it just went. It was so like you started it the same time that came together. Was there this sort of um, like was it like a combination like was it like an idea like I'm trying to find the right words to say. Did it kind of was the project there, and then they're going, hey, we got this, Neotropolis going on. Let's try and kind of build it together, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New Trouble has absolutely influenced the way
Okay.
that we look, the way
Yeah.
that we sound to a certain extent, and just logistically, like we wrote these characters as we were not just making the musical act for the festival, but while we were participating in building the festival and the culture of the festival
Okay.
ourselves.
So it was like a group project type.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Like
Okay.
I had been wanting to do like an electronic project for years, and this was like a good excuse. So the idea of starting an electronic band with Madison was something that I had had forever, but we very much fit it into the mold that was presented to us. And we're inexorably tied to the festival at this point. I don't know if we'll stay there forever, but we're certainly staying there for now.
Good.
And the whole festival itself is a very incredibly creative space, because you've got people not just creating characters, but literally going out there and building from the ground up a physical space that you can interact with that feels very sci-fi, very cyberpunk, very future,
Blade Runner and all.
retro-futuristic. Yeah, absolutely. So much Blade Runner influence out there. But you've also got like people taking like if you look carefully, you're like, that's from Apex Legends,
Yep.
it's from Titanfall, and they're like all these little references. It's not like a character that somebody is playing. It's like, no, oh, that's a power core that I
Mm-hmm.
recognize from another franchise. And so that sort of hodgepodge, and the culture around sci-fi itself is very much around found props, around found production design. Like you look at the ships and anything on the Alien franchise, those are all from found stuff that
Yep.
people were just getting rid of, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna build it into this set, and we're gonna spray paint it white, we're
Yep.
gonna put a nice satin sheen on it, and then we're gonna backlight it with some fluorescent lighting, and bam, now it's sci-fi. In the
Yep.
same way that like the production designers in Star Wars, they're like, well, we have a bunch of like old broken World War I weapons, let's slap those together. Oh, what's this thing look like? A flash stick for a thing. That's a laser sword now. So in that same theme, we've taken into our own costumes, into our own instruments. Even my guitar has like a gun handle on it and like a bunch of silly like little bits of old paintball equipment. We love to greeble our stuff out. We love to throw old knobs on things. Like we'll take an old soundboard that doesn't work anymore, pop off all the faders, pop off all the knobs, just kind of stick them to stuff in ways that feel sci-fi in the same way that the franchises we grew up with.
Cool. And did you guys kind of put together your own costumes? Like, was everybody kind of go, okay, here's kind of my character, here's my costume? Did you kind of put it together on your own? Like, Madison, did you kind of create your own style and everything like that for, your character in the band, I guess you can say? Or was it kind of like a group effort where you go, I think that would be cool if you add that to it? Like, tell me about that process.
I think it's a pretty individual
Okay.
process for everybody. Like in the very beginning, we played around with the idea of having characters and having more of a story that would run throughout the show. And then we were like, we're already doing so fucking much on stage. Let's just look dope and
It's a technical
and be comfortable too. We used to have a lot of steel armor. And it was very heavy and a little cumbersome. At least from my perspective, Reese has a much higher threshold for uncomfortable costumes, not only from this project, but from Dread Crew of Oddwood. He's wearing a lot of hardware. So yeah, I need to be able to move very freely, to give the performance that I want to give. So I think in terms of doodads and things like that, I'm probably wearing the most kind of like minimal outfit on stage, because again, I really value movement. I really value being able to just kind of do my own thing and move without any fear or anything like that. Yeah, so
we did on that first music video. I spent a lot of time, and we spent a lot of money just putting together costume pieces. So like all the like sort of the armor stuff that we're wearing, some of the pilot outfit that she's got on, like a lot of that was just like, well, we have it, let's use it. So for a couple of years we used a lot of that, but it's become a much more individual process as time has gone on, and everybody continues to go to the festival, everybody continues to play shows. It's like, well, what if we change this for this, or and like even myself, like I wear a completely different situation than I wore when we started, as I expect most bands go through. Like, I think it's nice to see a band changing up their look while keeping like a sort of theme.
Yep.
But like, it's great to be like, oh, well, this prop doesn't really play well because it hits this when I perform, or when we go to do like this guitar move, it's like, oh, that kind of got in the way. We'll kind of change this, make that work a little bit better. But yeah, it's primarily an individual thing.
That's so cool. And I encourage everybody to kind of check out Neotropolis. Like it's off the top of my head, it's like Blade Runner meets, Burning Man or Coachella. Like it's in the middle of a Mojave Desert, right? And it's like Burning Man, but like in this sort of like, science fiction. I'm struggling to find the words. I don't know why, but yeah, it's like Blade Runner and I don't know why I can't think of any anime, and it's like Comic-Con, but just way better, way cooler.
Like ice pirates.
Thank you. Yeah.
like all manner of sci-fi schlock.
Yes, thank you. That was it.
But what we love so much about it is that while there's like a very concerted push for like the main areas to be done by like the administration that runs the festival, there are so many spaces that are created by people who are just going to the festival looking to create something to share with everyone else who attends the festival.
Like an art movement type thing.
Yeah, you've got like not just costumes, but you've got sets. Like you've got big spaces just sprung up on like metal scaffolding out in the middle of the desert that people will build over the course of like a month. Like from dirt to like a little sci-fi city in a month. Wow. And you've got all these people that are just the love of the craft and the love of the culture is what keeps them going. And like most of these people are not receiving any sort of compensation. They're just out there just
for the love
of this art movement. And that appealed to us very much, and it's very much inspired what we've done as a band since joining.
Is there a lot of connection with the doing work out there and the movie business and music video? Like, is a lot of that where it's like, I have the familiarity of working and putting up sets for a stage performance or for a movie? Is there a lot of those sort of like connections out there where they have the know-how and the love and the passion that goes along with it when it comes to putting together, Neotropolis. And even with your guys' project, I mean, there's a lot of love and passion, and do they have a lot of that sort of background where it is involved in, movies and stage and all that type of stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, this part of the country in general, there's a lot of that. And out there you have like a huge concentration, specifically of like production designers and
Yeah.
costumers. There's a lot of experienced film and television people who work on the art side of things, who work on the production design side of things out there. And it's funny because like no matter how much work you're going to put into your thing, and no matter how beautiful you're going to make it, and there's always going to be something that's like, wow, it just like knocks your socks off when you see it. Whether it's a costume, whether it's like a literal spaceship constructed from like a what do you call it? I think there's a spaceship out there that's constructed from the top half of a Harrier jet. like, like it's crazy. You're like, where did that come from?
How did you get
God.
that right? Like,
Yeah, how
I
did you
stole it.
Oh my gosh, like there's a bunch of stuff out there like that. There's custom cars, there's custom vehicles. Um and yeah, that the we are inexorably tied to sci-fi, science fiction culture, which includes a lot of movie making stuff. You see a lot of those people out there. Uh, Half of us in the band have either actively or have worked in film and television. So like we're always taking little bits that we have learned, little bits that we're hearing from other people, and if we hear something that really inspires us, we're going to draw that into our act.
That's cool. I don't know. I just find that fascinating just because I'm in the Midwest. So I'm like here in the middle of nowhere. And, when you talk to people who are like, actively out there in Los Angeles, I'm like, what is that? What is that like? Like I always just find that fascinating. And,
It's great because like no matter what, no matter who you're talking to, there's not a single person out at that festival that you can't stop on the street and be like, hey, I think this thing on your chest is cool. And
Yeah.
they will talk your ear about
They'll talk your
your ear off about like what that little greeble came from and what inspired them and how it affects their thing. And so there's all manner of that, and we love it and embrace it. In the same way that you're like, if you come up to like, a synth player after the show and you're like, hey, I noticed you're patching that module a little differently. You just say the word module and it's like go time. So, talk to a
Going off.
guitarist about their pedal board, stuff like that.
Oh man, I get it. And then so tell me about the kind of the building of the live performance, because you got the synchronized video performance, and you kind of got your own like lighting rig and everything like that. Like, tell me how you put all that together. Who did the video work? And when you have like the like if you were to take it to if you eventually were to go on the road, you have like a crew with you and kind of get everything. Like, tell me about that sort of process of
That's the dream,
building.
man.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a crew with us. It's hard enough to book shows as a 5-person act in a genre that's dominated by like duos and solo acts. It's totally the scene is so drum machine, synth player, guitarist, drum machine, singer, or sing, synth player, guitar, DJ. Like it's so focused on these small, compact things.
Yeah.
That it is challenging, just even for a 5-piece to get around. We'd love to have a crew, but we're not at the point yet where that's feasible. So we just do everything ourselves. We do tend to do our own sound at this point, just because
that's why
it's a lot to like send to a front of house picture who's like heard of you like 25 minutes before your set. So because we're like live, we're doing tracks from the computer. We're doing the talkbox signal for my talkbox that comes from the computer. I've pre-recorded it, and then we're doing 2 live guitars, live bass, live vocals. Obviously my vocal signal from my talkbox. You've got we tend to use Roland V drums just because it allows you to match the volume of a space instead of like, oh, we'll just make everything as loud as the drums. It's like, well, with the V drums we can play quieter if we want to, or we can swap out the drum kit for a totally different sound between songs.
Yeah, of course.
So there's that big technical aspect to it. And right now, if we're going to be doing our own sound and lighting, we just need a few extra minutes to get it all set up. We do it all on our own. We've been practicing. We literally, part of practice is like, okay, how quickly can we set up? How quickly can we break down and make sure that everything goes smoothly? So that's like, it's just part of the act for now.
Wow.
We've all become technicians, and Madison thrust into the forefront because she came from not really having any band setup stuff to being like, hey, we need to know where we're running all these lines into our in-ear rig and then out to the mains. And also we need to like make sure that our in-ears are synced up to the proper frequencies, make sure those frequencies are clear. We're not going to get interference in the middle of a set. It's become this massive technical undertaking, and everybody has stepped up over the past few years and made it possible for us to have this big technical show and be part of a 3-band lineup where we just do our thing and we get off stage.
Wow.
And that was a learning process as much as learning to play and perform this music live. Was the setup has become a big part of it as well.
Wow. And then what's the scene like out there with with like is there much of a synthwave scene, and kind of where do you kind of fit into that? I know you guys said you were kind of like balanced between like the synthwave and the sort of rock and stuff. Like what's kind of going on out there? I guess that's what I'm asking when it comes to music wise.
LA is an interesting town for like individual genres because there's everything here. Like, we're like the biggest city on the West Coast by like the order of millions. So there is everything every weekend. Any genre of music you want to find, there's going to be something like that in Los Angeles. The big synthwave scenes that we've become aware of on the West Coast are mostly in like the Bay Area, and then Pacific Northwest. In Portland and Seattle, you see a lot of really awesome synthwave. And so those are the big sort of like cultural hubs for this genre. But as we were saying, we're not exactly synthwave. We love performing alongside.
There's elements, yeah.
But like we'll play with pretty much anybody. Down in San Diego, we've done a number of shows with Street Cleaner, incredible solo synth act from Southern California. We've done a number of shows with Kirby's Dream Band, which is a Kirby cover band where they just play note for note covers of all kinds of different video game songs. But their energy matches really well with ours. They're another band with entirely too many people and a very complicated technical setup that they do. So it's just been fun kind of making friends and exploring synth adjacent genres that are not necessarily all the same.
Sure.
And that's been rad. I'd love to see more of like a specific dedicated synth scene in Los Angeles. Oh, there is a really wonderful band out here called Fart Barf.
I love Fart Barf with the mask, the caveman mask, dude. I've been dying to get them on because they did. I love their music and they're just so unique and so wild. And I'm like,
they also absolutely like pioneered like live ass drums, acoustic ass drums, and then they just got like 3 Moogs on stage, and that's it. It's 3 dudes, drum set, and then 3 synthesizers, and one of them is for vocoder, and the other 2 are doing like bass and melody, and it's just the coolest, rawest sounding synth stuff ever.
Crazy. So catchy, ridiculously catchy.
So you talk about yourself as like a synth punk playlist, or excuse me, a synth punk sort of promoter and enthusiast.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of a synth punk genre.
Me too. Like I would like to see it. I mean, there's elements. I mean, geez, I can go into all of that. There's bits of it. There's some that are still drawn to the old school. There's some newer type stuff with like Nate No Face, who was probably the only one that really was like shared the stage with like Limp Bizkit and stuff when they were on tour. That's kind of the more, and then there's more darker wave type stuff that's going on out there. But give me a full-fledged, like, I think Fart Barf might be the closest to like a punk type thing in a way, but still, I feel like I haven't quite found the essence where it's got that sort of that anarchy type punk style with the synth and I don't know. So maybe I need.
One of the things that's tough about synth punk is I feel like the very soul of punk is like you grab an instrument and you channel through that instrument and you just fucking go, and it doesn't matter if that instrument is like a Yamaha guitar that you found at a fucking yard sale or like like a busted ass like Casio keyboard. And so I feel like one of the difficult parts about doing synth stuff is it's very expensive. Even like your basic synths are like hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Oh yeah.
And so combining that with punk energy, like with the raw like anger and like just aggression and like energy of punk, sometimes it's like you have to be a little methodical with synth. So
Yep.
finding the right bands that to blend those elements, I'm sure is like there's that natural sort of juxtaposition in there.
I found some of that, with like Atari Teenage Riot, where they have that sort of digital hardcore energy and stuff. But it's just like if you can find that and kind of put it in band form, I think that's where it's like that would be it for me. You know what I mean? I'd be like, okay, I think I found that element. So
Yeah, I want to go to more synth punk shows. They're great.
I know I'd love to see more. There, it's coming. It's peaking. I'm talking to a lot more. I think there's a little bit of interest. So put on a festival for that, and I'd sign me up.
Oh,
I'd be
there
the
was
first one to buy a ticket.
years ago we went to a Fart Barf show and they were opening for an amateur pro wrestling league. And it was fucking perfect. I was like, that is the exact energy that this band needs.
Oh wow, that's hilarious. That I would love to see. If they have the footage of that one, I'd love to see that one for sure.
Gosh,
So,
when was that?
Oh my god, like 6 years
Yeah,
ago.
it was many
six
years
years.
ago.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's.
We gotta. We're gonna bug the Fart Barf guys. We're gonna put a show together with them.
Please do, please do.
It's gonna happen.
I would love to see that. Is there any like great stories, like even if it's not, Eclectotron, any great gig stories? I like hearing the sort of when you're going through the trenches, if you're dealing with, a rowdy fan or some guy out in the crowd or something falls apart or whatever. Do you have any, even with your theater background, any sort of crazy gig stories that comes to the top of your head when you're?
I mean, we could talk about our very first performance ever.
Please do. I always love those. Those are my favorite.
So when Neotropolis first started, they wanted everything to be very much like super high sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of their, I can't say this definitively, but I feel like, when you see Daft Punk performing in Tron and they're like kind of elevated behind that window and they're like running. I think they wanted
perfect. Yeah.
they wanted that energy for the festival. So they made these like 8-foot sort of skinny platforms. They were like probably like 5x10, 5x15, something like that. Like skinny.
Yeah.
But very tall. And you went up this steep staircase to get up there. And so we're like trying to get our 5-piece band up these 2 platforms. There's like one on one side and one on the other side. And so we're literally performing like across air, like 8 feet up. And then it starts to hail as we are setting up for our outside performance in the desert. So we got like 25, 30 mile an hour winds. It's hailing. It's probably like 48, 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh my God, it's cold. Wow.
And we're like in our costumes, like freezing our asses off. And the hail was just light enough that like by the time it got to the ground, it would start to melt and then kind of go away. So the people who were lower were somewhat protected. They were still getting hit by a little bit of rain and a little bit of hail, and we're up there a little bit higher, just like
trying your best to put on the best show ever. Yeah,
hit in the face. And this is like our first performance to a crowd, and man, that was a harrowing experience. And sound check was like nightmare because the stages were so complicated and we have so many signals and like getting everything run. So it's one of the reasons we do our own sound. It's just kind of like take that, because sometimes you get a nice long sound check and sometimes you got to be ready in 15 minutes and go. So we've based on those experiences of like long sound checks out in the cold, having technical issues, we're just going to do it ourselves. We're just going to use in-ear monitors. We're not going to have to worry about anything like that, and we can just go and get off. And that's helped so much for the festival type shows especially. But yeah, that was a rough one. That was a rough show.
I've dealt with heat, like outdoor heat, like a summer festival when the sun is beating down on all the electronics and it likes to fizzle fry a few times. But the desert, like, how do they handle issues like that where, you got, I don't know if it's like clay or sand or dirt or whatever is out there. And not just that, but now you're dealing with hail and it's going to get muddy and gunky. Like, how do they deal with something like that?
I still have some dust on my I haven't, and that was in April. And
it's like Green Day still having mud inside their amps from Woodstock. That's crazy.
No, so like it's mostly dirt and sand out there. It's not like clay or like the super fine dust that they have at like Burning Man, for instance,
Yeah.
at the playa. It's more just sand. And this year was the first year we actually had what I would describe as good weather.
Okay, good.
So it was nice because it was like, oh, because and the weather affects the people too. Because like at a
Oh yeah.
certain point, if it's like raining or hailing or super windy and it's like 40 something degrees outside, you don't want to sit for like, 4 acts out in the desert. So this year was great because we got to have massive crowds because nobody was affected by the weather. But I think the biggest thing for them is wind
Hmm.
because it is literally the Valley of the Four Winds out there in the Mojave.
Yeah.
It's what it is named after. And the wind in that spring at night can still get very cold.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest problem they have out there. I know they have bands for their like summer festival too. Um, and they're probably dealing with like stuff overheating, but because we always perform at night, the heat's rarely an issue.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, it's just part of the gig is just cleaning dust off of everything,
Just
especially your box of cables. You just sit there with like a damp rag and you're just running like 500-600 feet of cable through your gross damp rag trying to clean it all off. And it's just part of the game.
it's wild. And yeah, again with weather, it's such an issue because it really takes its toll, and especially out there in the desert with everything else going on. But at least you guys can seem to find that like, okay, at least it's like not too hot, but not too like you're trying to find that like,
And sometimes in the face of like hardship like that, whether it's heat, whether it's wind, like there as a performer, you do get a moment where you're like, I'm either gonna like let this kick my ass or I'm gonna fucking do this. And then like when you have that sort of like, oh, I'm gonna push through this challenge, this
Mhm.
physical challenge on top of performing,
Yeah,
it adds a degree of like emotional weight to what you're doing.
definitely.
Um, it's still fun even when it's not.
What else do you guys do besides the band? Are you guys involved in other hobbies? Do you write art? Like, tell me what else you guys do besides Eclectotron.
Madison's big in the fitness world.
Please tell me, Madison. I need you. I don't want you to feel left out. I feel like we're geek
No,
talking,
it's
and I don't want
really
you.
fine. It's really fine. Yeah, no, I love lifting weights. I'm a voice actor. Um, yeah, yeah. So, and
What else?
Reese
Like
is,
voice acting? Like what? Anything that stands out? Is there?
my most notable credit is I narrated the trailer for Sea of Stars. Their most recent, uh, well, maybe not their most recent.
It's like sort of an indie JRPG
Yeah,
that came
yeah.
out a couple
Hmm.
years
Yeah.
ago. I worked on it too. I did a lot of the music. I recorded a lot of the music with the composers
Hmm.
of that piece. Eric Brown did a lot of sound design. I assisted him with that. I assisted recording music. That was an amazing project. And she's the voice of the antagonist in
That's so
the
cool.
DLC. So that was a really fun credit.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Reese is into 9 million things aside from the band, and
Costuming's I've always enjoyed costuming
yeah.
stuff. I've done that for many years. Um, I'm a Gunpla nerd. I like to build models.
Oh, you're what? Okay. You know what? I saw a picture where you guys were like working on models on Instagram.
Yeah, this is it's like fun. It's like
Just
this nice
geeky
little
stuff.
thing. I love doing like metalwork and like sort of artistic welding and stuff.
Oh, there you
And
go.
the modeling scratches the same itch, and I never have to go to the hospital for like cutting my hand open or anything. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
no, fitness is a big part of our lives,
that's good.
and yeah, we stay busy. There's a lot to do. We live in Long Beach, California.
Oh,
It's a
wow,
beautiful town.
really?
Um, so yeah, we find ourselves busy most of the time.
That's so cool. I don't know. I've always just find that kind of stuff fascinating. Where you know, uh, working in entertainment and stuff like that. Again, I always just kind of geek out over things like that. Where we're in the Midwest and it's mostly farmers and stuff. So I was just like, oh, fascinating. I know you guys signed with Retro Synth Records. Was that someone you wanted to work with? Did they come to you? Kind of tell me because they got some great acts on that lineup. Yeah, tell me about Retro
We
Synth
know
Records.
we know RetroSynth through the Megatronics guys actually.
Hmm.
Power Rob introduced me to Dan, the
Dang.
person who runs RetroSynth, and it just was like we weren't on a label. We were looking to release an album. We wanted to have a reach beyond just what we could drum up locally and with our own sort of personal networks. So talked to Dan. He was interested in promoting the music, and they were very helpful in getting our first album made. And it's been a good fit so far. We'll see what the future holds. I love how RetroSynth is. They let you keep complete ownership of your own music, which is
Good.
very, very important.
Very smart.
Especially as small artists. And they're very there's a lot of, they give you a lot of control. There's never anything overbearing in what they do, and they make their contracts malleable and easy to suit your needs as an artist. So we really appreciated that, and yeah, we'll see where the future takes us with RetroSynth.
And do you guys feel more at home like in the studio or up on stage, or is it just a balance of
absolutely
both?
on stage?
Yeah,
Absolutely on stage. Like, that's the reason I love to do this. Madison, what are your thoughts?
Oh, definitely on stage. Yeah, recording and studio stuff is like, it's fun, but it's super tedious, and it's hard to like not, get upset with each other over small details and
Little
things like that. And yeah, like, I mean, you're on stage and like you're a team, and not that you're not a team in the studio, but you don't have the time to be able to like discuss like decisions that you're making on stage in the way that you do in the studio. So yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna give you a half answer to that, because like I absolutely adore the stage, but I think the practice room is my favorite.
Yeah.
Is my favorite sort of band interaction stuff, because we can come up with new ideas. We can work on old ones. We can see what works better. We can be like, well, what if we played a harmony here? Or what if we change this chord? Maybe that'll hit a little bit differently. And sort of finding those things, and like practicing with the band is always like a great time. We always have so much fun, despite the fact that we're 15 minutes left. Okay, we gotta go. We gotta pack up. We gotta get out of here. They're gonna charge us for another hour. Come on, let's go. So practicing is super fun with this band, and that's probably my favorite iteration.
That's good. And what was like some of the biggest challenges when you guys started kind of working together? Is it like like writing lyrics? Is it the technical aspect? Tell me about what are some of the biggest challenges that you've encountered, even with, the early, EPs and singles, or just even the latest album, which is Galactic Trash. Please check that out. I'm going to continue to push that. Some of the biggest challenges that you've encountered with this band.
Being adults in our 30s with full-time jobs and full-blown lives and scheduling, and really that's it.
That's the
like
biggest
honestly
challenge.
Scheduling and availability comes down to it.
We do all live a little bit far apart,
and we live a little far away from each other, but once we're all together, we're genuinely the best of friends. We love hanging out with each other. We're very intentional and very productive with our time, but just, being at this phase in our life, there's a lot more responsibilities and a lot more obligations to significant others and to families and to work, but we make it happen.
That's awesome.
It's been a challenge lately to book shows at like existing venues.
Mm-hmm.
The last like show we did in Los Angeles was we made it like a big event. So we did it with our good friends at the Gentleman Loser, which is a faction of people who put together a bar out at Neotropolis, not associated with the actual festival. They're just people who would love to attend. And so we threw an event with them, and we literally just rented a warehouse.
Oh, wow.
And we production designed it, and we had this like one side be the stage side, where we were able to do like our sound and lighting, and then the other side was like we had a bar and a merch table and a couple other interactive booths that you could do stuff with. And that was great, but it requires us and whoever we do the event with putting down money to rent a space. Like, it's so hard to book shows as like a small to medium sized band.
Yeah.
At this point, because everybody out here is, everyone's paying higher rents. Everyone's a little bit squeezed. So they want to guarantee that they're going to make their money that night. And for some reason, many promoters have just decided that your Instagram following is the best measure of success. And
unfortunately, yeah, I've had, I'll ask certain musicians, even ones that I've like kind of looked up to that aren't quite at the peak that they think they are. I don't want to be rude about that, but there's some where I'm going, I mean, come on, I don't know. I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, hey, you want to be on a podcast, you want to talk, you want to geek out. Well, how many followers do you have and how many subscribers? And I'm talking with the manager. I'm not even talking with him, It's
And
the
that's the
manager.
worst too. When you're like,
The
let's do
worst.
a show. We'll do a door deal at this bar. Here's our sheet. What's the guarantee? What's the capacity? What's the bar cut? What's the bar share? What's the cut on merch? And I'm like, okay,
All right. Yep.
this is not a little. This is clearly more of a production, or you want to make this more of a production.
You want to make this bigger? Yeah. Yeah.
But
Damn.
yeah, that's been a big challenge lately, more lately than ever. Like, because we've done a number of like really fun shows in the past, and I'm hoping it's a passing phase, and that venues become more open to smaller bands who have a proven history of bringing a lot of people to your event. Like, our shows often have like 150, 200 people there, so there's no measure of instilling that in a business, like a local business, that they feel good about, except for Instagram followers, which is really not a good measure of success in my personal opinion.
I don't think so either.
Not to say that it's not important, and like we love interacting on social media with our fans, but we didn't start a band to be on Instagram.
No, and I think unfortunately we're at that point now where you got to have this, but it's like what you see on Instagram isn't necessarily it's not what you're going to experience live. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
being live is a whole nother monster that you're not going to be seeing on videos and pictures.
Yeah, and it just gives you like a little slice of what it could be like, but you're never gonna know until you've gone and experienced like the energy of the show, the showmanship of people in a real space. Yeah, that's honestly like maybe punk energy is what we should go for. This is totally unrelated. We went to a Daikaiju show. Daikaiju is like a small like surf punk rock band.
Yeah.
And that show blew my mind. It was like probably 200 people in a 150 cap venue. And I was like, shit, man, maybe we gotta play more shows like this.
Would you do like a stripped down version, like of your guys' show, where it's like, well, let's kind of put this aside, put that, and just kind of have the band without, maybe the full, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Where it's kind of like,
unfortunately, just the way that the band puts together, the way that we put it together, it's like a stripped down version wouldn't be what it is.
Okay, fair enough.
Just because we need especially the talk box side of things. Like, we kind of need the tracks to be playing in order to have that live aspect of it. But hey, we're down for some down and dirty shows, just because it's not a light technical setup.
Would you go on like tour, like if anybody is just like, I mean, I guess, when it comes to scheduling, everything really like the planets have to align for there to be this sort of like go out of town, go out of state.
I think we'd be happy to go on tour for somebody who with a lineup that would make sense for us. Like, we would absolutely go on tour. We're like honestly itching for an opportunity like that.
Okay.
We were trying to put something together later this year, and it doesn't look like it's going to work out just because of logistics and issues with venues. Venues is very challenging right now, but we're going to just keep working at it. We're going to drum up our following, and then hopefully this time next year it'll be a different story.
Who would you like to like collaborate with? Anybody you would like, one, go on tour with, or two, just as a music collaboration, who would be like the dream artist?
I mean, Fart Barf is absolutely one of the reasons that we wanted to do this. That's like even they like, I know where one of them lives, so like that's totally like on the table for us. But like, I mean, obviously, like if we could open for Twerp, damn, that'd be dope. We've done a number of things with Street Cleaner. Street Cleaner is a huge influence to us as well. A little bit more of the dark wave side of things, but the energy of a Street Cleaner performance is awesome. We would totally go on tour with Street Cleaner. I mean, shoot, if we're talking like sky's the limit, if it ever made sense, Night Flight Orchestra would be cool. We'd love to open for Battle Beast.
Damn.
That's probably not going to happen, but it would be rad. Yeah, I mean, I do think that we genre bend enough that we'd be suitable openers for any kind of all numbers of genres. As long as there's like a little bit of a synthesizer focus
Yeah.
to the act, I think that's kind of the only thing that we would want to make sure that we are sort of our night is themed with.
Mhm.
It would be like, oh, well, we'll do something with somebody else who's doing synthy stuff.
Yeah. What do you want people to kind of take away from your music?
We want them to have a good time, and we want it to take them to another place. Specifically, like the sci-fi genre, it kind of gives me sort of like a glossy-eyed sort of. We want it to be a little bit more than nostalgia, but nostalgia definitely helps. Help somebody sort of break down their suspension of disbelief, so to say. So if you can get lost in the music and you can get lost in the theme and you can be thinking about like sci-fi stuff that has meant something to you, if it's harkening back like those days of like crowding around the TV like with your siblings or your friends when you're in like middle school or elementary school and you're watching something that's just like completely blowing your mind. We want to channel that energy, and hopefully you've had an experience that's taken you to another world a little bit after you've gone to an Eclectotron show.
And what does the future hold for you guys?
More shows for sure. We have a couple fun collaborations in the near future that'll be coming out. I don't want to talk about too much about them, but maybe a little something with Street Cleaner, and there's some talk of a Starcadian tribute album coming out in honor of George and his influence and accomplishments. We're all going to miss him very much, but we're excited to share some more news about that in the near future. But beyond that, we're going to make another album. We're going to try to go on tour, and we're going to play more shows.
Good deal. That's what I like to hear. I love that. I think that's great. And last thing, I always kind of end my podcast with this one question. Anybody who's going into either music or you guys are doing sound design and theater acting, what words of advice do you have for anybody who's kind of taking those first steps into the world of creative, entertainment, art, all that type of stuff? What words of advice do you have for them?
Surround yourself with people who are way better than you. You don't want to be the best at what you're doing because there's nobody that you can learn from, and there's nobody who can give you feedback on how to be better. And I think that's the best first step.
I also say, one, absolutely, you'll never grow unless you surround yourself with people who inspire you.
Of course.
But also, do the thing that you can do forever, even if it's weird. Do the thing that you are driven to do, even if it doesn't fit into like a path that has been proven.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do the weird thing. Do whatever it is that keeps you going and feeds you and like makes you have energy and focus. Do that, even if it's not necessarily an objectively good idea at the beginning.
I love that. Do the weird thing. I'll take that, and that'll be the perfect final note for this podcast, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin. This has been
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. And again, I encourage everybody follow on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Are you on anything else, or is that
That's
pretty much
it.
the big
That's
three?
it for now. We're working
enough.
on maybe
That's
a TikTok,
enough.
but
That's fine. I think that's
social
good.
media is hard enough as it is, man.
It's a struggle. We're still like trying to learn how to deal and make content and stuff like that and put it out there
Follow
on a
us
daily.
on Spotify. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Apple Music.
And
follow
buy
us
their
on
music.
Bandcamp.
Yeah, Bandcamp. Buy music on Bandcamp. That's why I always encourage everybody on the podcast. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
See you around.